In the entertainment capital of the world, hotels and resorts work to appeal to millions of visitors. A newcomer to downtown takes pride in their concept, launching what will be the Valley's only LGBTQ+ hotel to welcome all.
Las Vegas Pride Parade and Festival Weekend!
The entertainment capital of the world takes pride in its diversity for visitors and those who live here.
That will all be landscaped with a giant pool deck.
Two hoteliers say there's a need for more places across the valley to just be. Under construction on 11th Street in downtown Las Vegas, the concept is called the Bent Inn. It would be the valley's only LGBTQ+ hotel, welcoming all with a bar and restaurant, weekend brunch, pool and hot tub, outdoor food truck, 33 boutique hotel rooms with patios and balconies.
Vegas has a lot of everything. It's one of those things that was missing, and the sense of community.
Particularly targeting the LGBTQ community. It seems logical there would be a hotel focused on this community. It was a bit surprising.
The previous only resort of its kind was the Blue Moon Resort off the 15 in Sahara. This is the old website. It was open for 12 years and closed back in 2014. Partners in love and in life, Mark Hunter and Greg Kafka, owned and ran Escape and Desert Paradise before they sold them and are making Las Vegas home. They say they're overwhelmed by the sheer buzz, which means they struck a chord on a need in the community.
Las Vegas in general, and hotels specifically, have done a wonderful job of creating a welcoming environment for everyone. However, you can't always count on your fellow guests to exude the same kind of welcoming. That's where the Bent Inn experience thrives. Something very special about having a place to call your own.
The property was built in 1965 as the Moonlight Hotel. As the area around it and surrounding vintage hotels undergo revitalization, the new owners say preserving history is also part of their mission.
Have a mid-century vibe that ties well together and in a very playful, unique and Vegas fun way.
We're thrilled to be part of that effort because it's revitalizing the original heart of Las Vegas.
So the duo is aiming for an opening possibly late August. A date isn't set up just yet. We'll check on the progress closer to opening day, but they do promise opening night will be a party.